Milk, movie review. As a history geek and someone who gets more of his history from movies than I would like to admit, I really enjoy watching biopics. However, they can start to all seem the same after a while. I'm not sure if this is because all life stories naturally share similar elements, or is it a result of Hollywood's one-size-fits-all approach to screenwriting? But whichever it was, there are certainly a lot of elements in this story that I felt like I had seen before. For example, the protagonist is roused out of his blissful existence when he becomes awakened to a huge injustice. He rallies others to the cause and goes from being a complete novice to the most unlikeliest of leaders. However, as his dedication to the cause grows, his personal relationships begin to suffer, and at some point, he's forced to make a choice between his dedication to his work and his family. Usually a wife, in the case of this movie, a boyfriend, but the same general plot point. Although, to be fair to this movie, the ending is completely bizarre. And this is something it does not have in common with other biopics. And spoiler alert, although it's based on real events, so I don't know if it's fair to call it a spoiler, but spoiler. He gets assassinated, and, famous people getting assassinated, politicians getting assassinated is not anything new. But what makes this unique is he gets assassinated by another politician. One of the other city supervisors on the same board with him ends up assassinating him and then also assassinating the mayor at the same time. Which I thought, wow, that's bizarre. I mean, you've heard of politicians being assassinated, but how often do you hear of one politician assassinating another one? And I thought, that's so strange. Why haven't I heard about that before? Now this happened in the early 80s when I was still very young. So I think I was just young enough to miss it, or, I wasn't reading the newspapers at the time. Apparently it was a media sensation at the time, and the little end notes at the end of the movie talk about this. This is where the Twinkie Defense comes, which I actually had heard about before. I think that was in one of my psychology books, a reference to the Twinkie Defense. Twinkie Defense is the defense that his defense attorneys use, the guy who assassinated Harvey Milk, meaning that he had been depressed and he had been eating a lot of unhealthy, sugary foods, and this had caused him to become even more depressed and to act irrationally. And so it was dubbed the Twinkie Defense by the press as kind of ridicule. Anyways, so that's all rather unusual, but the rest of it did feel a bit like a by-the-numbers biopic. However, there are a couple redeeming features which make this film rise above the usual biopic fare. One is the incredible acting job everyone does. Sean Penn is absolutely amazing in this role. If you've seen him in anything else, he's adapted a completely different persona in this movie than he usually plays. And yet, watching this movie, you'd think this is how he acts all the time. He just completely blends into this role. James Franco is good. Emil Hirsch, who I never heard of before and I saw this movie, but who I also thought was really good. He plays a guy called Cleve Jones. And then Josh Brolin. Now, I've praised Josh Brolin a number of times in my other movie reviews. No Country for Old Men, Planet Terror, American Gangster, what else was he in? He's just like this great character actor. And quite often, I don't even realize it's him until like halfway through the movie or like the ending credits, which was the case with this movie. He just seems so completely different in every movie I see him in. And in this movie, I didn't even realize it was Josh Brolin until the ending credits. And while the overarching story can seem a bit cliche, the execution of it is very well done. The scenes are set up in a way that keep the story moving, and the dialogue is snappy. The movie does lose some points with me for the overly drawn-out, melodramatic death scene at the end. So that assassination gets a little bit drawn out, and some cheesy music comes in, and it's just a little bit over the top for my taste. But aside from that, generally speaking, the movie is very well paced. So I give it a recommendation.